That's such an interesting perspective for people who haven't served, the idea that you feel like you're missing out on it. And I appreciate your honesty, saying that it was fun or saying that it's easier than civilian life.
Yeah, it's the first thing. Like I transitioned out of the military in a contractor with a Central Intelligence Agency, and it was a smack in the face because, call it a brotherhood, call it tribe, call it whatever you want. I had a great run with amazing human beings. What I noticed when I went from the military to waking up in an air mattress in an apartment in San Antonio is civilian life sucks. Where do you go for connectivity, for tribe? If you don't belong to a dojo, if you don't belong to a gym, if you don't go to a church, then you don't have that feeling of purpose and that feeling of community. So I went from a place where my family were the teammates that I served with and transitioned into civilian life where everybody's worried about their own game. They're very selfish. I mean, for the first time, likely in the history of our country, you don't know your neighbors. You don't know who's in the apartment next door to you. You're escaping trying to even interact with those people, and it's fucking depressing. So I thought the military experience for me was easy. And a lot of guys who come back and have to deal with bills, relationships, all the shit that civilians deal with, that's hard. And that's the difficulty. It's not necessarily a traumatic experience in one moment in time that took place that is the PTSD. It's like getting kicked in the dick every day being a civilian when you didn't have to before because you have everything, at your fingertips. That would give you PTSD if you didn't have it.
Have you ever read Sebastian Junger's book, Tribe?
Great book.
Yeah.
Great sum up of the experience. I wish there was more context. Like he needs to put out more on it. But, he went out to Restrepo in Afghanistan and experienced that at a very high level. And then even in his own reflection, leaving that, he was like, man, I'm missing something. And, societally, I think profoundly, likely a lot of the issues we're dealing with, depression, suicide, drug overdoses at a record high, are caused because of that lack of purpose, that lack of tribe. And maybe in a way, all the guys like myself, Evan Hafer, we're all trying to pick up our own tribes in our own way. I mean, that's certainly why I started my company.
No, I think there's definitely something to that. And there definitely seems to be this thing that happens to a lot of guys when they get out of the military. It happens to a lot of guys who do anything where you have a tight-knit group of people that are like-minded, that are trying to do the same thing. You see with fighters, too, where they retire from fighting and then they're not in the gym anymore. They're not training with guys anymore. They're not like, you're not traveling together all the time and supporting each other, and they lose themselves. And many of them start drinking. They get into drugs. They need something to try to either soothe themselves or give themselves some sort of a feeling, because the feelings that you have when you're training and fighting, I would imagine it's even far more extreme if you're in the military and then you're overseas and you're with these people and you have this intense bond, and then all of a sudden it goes away. Now you have none. Now you have no bond, and now you're doing a job that's not interesting at all. You're just getting paid. You're bored as fuck. You're watching TV. You're drinking beer, and you're like, what am I doing? Like, what is life?